We're happy to have you back, and what a week to come back. 6 reigning state champions fall, and some crazy action all around in the regional semis in 6A. And we'll start off with a game that you were at, Ashton. Tomball doing it again with another upset, this time against Rockwall Heath, one of the top teams in the state. Kel Helms looks like Superman out there. He's doing the finger roll. He's doing everything he can to get Tomball to the next round, and he does it. Now to the region finals against Bridgeland. Now, Tomball has beaten the 2 original favorites in this region in Cy Park and now Rockwall Heath. Should they be considered the favorite to win this game, Ashton?
Obviously, from week 1 until now, nobody believed Tomball would be here. From starting out 6-0, looking really good, to just barely taking the 4th spot to make the playoffs. The amount of growth that this Tomball team has made is amazing to me, and nonetheless, that should be applauded. The Tomball team is very tough. All 11 guys on the field are working together at all times on both sides of the ball. People have been calling their run a Cinderella story, but I don't think it is one anymore. I think they truly are contenders to make the state playoffs. But with that being said, Bridgeland is no easy opponent. Obviously, the elephant in the room currently is Connor Wigman's status, as he took a late hit in their win 32-18 against Cedar Hill. But Bridgeland's deep. Backup quarterback Josh Stevens came in and did well as junior Jonathan Nelson coming in big time when the Bears needed him, as well as the Bears defense. They're very deep as well, and they got a great D-line and a great secondary in Terrence Cullivan and Graham Gillespie. But overall, I think this is going to be a great game with a great environment, and because both teams are only 15 minutes away from this brand new Tomball ISD Stadium. Everyone knows I got a little bit of bias here. Earlier last night, Will was talking about the Ashton J. Lux Bowl, because I went to Bridgeland my freshman and sophomore year, and now I'm at Tomball for my junior year. But I think Tomball's got it. I think Tomball's going to come out ahead of Bridgeland, But this is also my formal call out to another VYPEU ambassador, Haley Stum. She's one of my best friends. I was with her my freshman and sophomore year, with Tommy too. This is my formal call out. We got a bet going on this game.
Well, we'll see. There's just about everyone in VYPE is involved in this game somehow. We know what Tommy did and Haley and you all over there, Bridgeland Student Media. So that's great stuff. I know the 2 of us haven't seen these teams as much this year, but any thoughts on this game? Any thoughts on what Tomball's done so far?
I think right now they're riding on so much momentum, and they've been very consistent throughout the entire playoffs. And Helms is running a very tough offense right now, but Bridgeland is another one of those top tier teams with a very strong offense. And, I've seen firsthand how Bridgeland's crossing patterns with their receivers just kind of trips up the defense. And I think that's going to be the main thing Tomball's going to have to watch out for if Wigman is playing in this game. And it's definitely going to be a toss up, and it's against 2 teams that kind of had very strong starts, dipped a little in district play, and now came back and just are running over opponents in the playoffs. But I think Tomball is really strong right now, and I think they can take over with a little bit of the doubt with Wigman's late hit and maybe come out with the win here.
Yeah, we'll get to picks a little bit later on. I think we know who Ashton's picking, and the 2 of us will have our prediction at the end of the show. But I'd just like to point out, we talk about Bridgeland a lot on this show, and most of the time this year it was negative. We kind of went at them. They dropped district games. We weren't quite sure how good they were based on out of district schedule, but they have really turned it around. That being said, Tomball, no longer the Cinderella story, like Ashton said. So we move from 6AD2 to 6AD1, a game that I was at Atascocita and Ridgepoint. It was a rematch. Last year, Ridgepoint took it. Atascocita takes it this year. They looked great. Zion Brown, a sophomore playing at quarterback, he took midway through the season after Gavin Session got hurt. We know what Gavin Session did early in the season, went into Eagle Stadium, beat Allen. And now they face North Shore again. North Shore already beat him this year. They are starting a freshman at quarterback. Ashton, I'm going to start off with you. Which one of these teams has faced a tougher competition through 3 rounds?
I'm going to have to go with the Atascocita. I think they faced a much harder schedule in the first 3 rounds because, they faced Dickinson, barely came out of that game. And now with with Ridgepoint, that win last night. And North Shore, obviously they're a very good team, but compared to Atascocita's experience to get to this point, I think Atascocita has played a much harder schedule. I think pending the outcome of Gavin Sessions' injury, the game could sway a bit more in North Shore's favor, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think Atascocita's definitely had the tougher competition throughout these first couple of rounds because, like Ashton said, Dickinson and Bridgepoint, and they played both of those teams very close. You know, their defense is very big right now, and they are able to go past these really tough games. You know, they're barely making it through, but they're still coming out with those wins, and they've got a lot of energy that they're riding on. And North Shore has kind of had it a little bit easier starting off with the playoffs, and now this is the moment where it's going to start getting tougher with them. Although, you know, Tompkins did play them very well this past week, and I think that it'll be really interesting. But Atascocita, I think, has had the better preparation for this game leading up to it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when we talk about teams that they've played being easy, because when you look at this region, North Shore and Atascocita really have the toughest road, and that says something because they're favored in these games by a lot. They had to face the Deer Park district, which was no slouch. Deer Park was undefeated this year, and then they went into that Dickinson Clear Springs district, and then North Shore gets Tompkins, who we think was probably one of the top 10 teams in the area, and Atascocita is finally able to get over Ridgepoint. I think it's really close, but I'm going to give the edge to Atascocita over these first few rounds because it goes down to that Deer Park game, because I saw Deer Park. They look good, even though they got demolished by Atascocita. Ridgepoint was even better. Tompkins, you know, that was the only factor to saying that North Shore maybe had tougher competition. They definitely had the harder game last week, and that one was a lot closer than people thought it would be. Both these teams on another level this year, and I'm so excited for this game. And one more question. Atascocita's changed throughout the year on offense, not as much on defense. They've been dominant. Ella, I'll start off with you. Does North Shore have to worry about Atascocita's offense or defense more?
I think I'm going to go with the defense here. You know, I was looking at the points that they've put up the entire year, and, you know, Atascocita kept Ridgepoint to only 14, which is the smallest amount of points that they have put on the board the entire season. So I think that just proves something because, you know, BJ Emanuel, he runs a great offense. So it's safe to say that Atascocita defense is like the iron wall that just teams are going to have to try and push through to be able to score. And they just keep getting better every game. And I think they've been consistent the entire season as well. And they're playing these really tough teams very well, keeping them out of the end zone as best they can. And I think keeping Bridgepoint, who's put up massive numbers the entire season, to such a low score. It was a low scoring game altogether because Atascocita only put up 17, but that's a big accomplishment for the defense. And I think that is the same defense that is going to come out against North Shore, and it's really going to have to be disciplined. But North Shore's going to have to figure out how to get through them to be able to win.
Like I said earlier, pending Gavin Sessions' injury, that's going to really define the game for me. I think Zion Brown's really good, but he's still very young. And Gavin Sessions, obviously a senior, going into Eagle Stadium earlier in the year and defeating Allen. But like Ellis said, I'm going to have to go with that defense. Obviously, keeping Bert Emanuel Jr. to only 14 points is very tough. And that being the lowest scoring points that they've scored all year is really great and really amazing to me. So Atascocita's defense is really, really strong.
I'm actually going to go the opposite side. As someone that's seen Atascocita in the last 3 times in the last 5 or 6 weeks, the way that their offense has changed since the end of the regular season to now is crazy. Zion Brown finally, you know, kind of realizes this is the moment. It's win or go home every single day. I think the offense that North Shore saw a few weeks ago is not the same one that they're going to see this coming week. And now we head over to 2 games that were absolutely dominated by Duncanville and DeSoto. They took down those two stars from 14-6A in Spring and Westfield. Westfield dropped that game to DeSoto 34-17. Duncanville dominated 42-7 against Spring. Is this the results that we should have expected all year?
I actually caught a little bit of the second half of the DeSoto game, and DeSoto just came in and looked superior. Everything was clicking for them. And as much as I love Westfield and obviously Spring on the other side, Spring did make me choke on my own words earlier in the year. And I did eventually hop on the bandwagon, but both teams were just outplayed. And DeSoto and Duncanville are very good. And it's not something that I would expect all year. Like you said, were these the results we expected? It's just, it did not fall in their favor. I mean, they had to play DeSoto and Duncanville, which are two very tough teams, and you're not always going to come out victorious.
I think you're talking about four of the best teams in Texas high school football. I have always said that this region, I think, is the toughest probably in the entire playoff picture. This 6A D1 Region 2, it is just brutal, the amount of amazing teams in here. And there are a bunch of upsets, and there are a bunch of teams that are winning that you expect to. And I wouldn't necessarily say that we should expect Duncanville and DeSoto, but you should at least always consider them. And I think Spring and Westfield were definitely riding on a lot of momentum, and they'd had great seasons so far. And I actually had Westfield possibly going to the state championship, but I also had always kept in mind in my original bracket that I filled out, I had Duncanville making it to the state championship as either Duncanville or Westfield. Those were my two. And I think that this team is very special for Duncanville, and I think DeSoto is another great team in high school football. And the DeSoto and Duncanville are two teams that for years have been great, and they always go deep in the playoffs. And I feel like you should always expect them to keep that tradition going. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me that Spring and Westfield lost, although I believe that they could have won those games. But you're talking about Duncanville and DeSoto, who just know how to play football really well and really consistently, and always put up big numbers and always have amazing plays. And it was this region 2 was a battle, and it could have gone either way. But I don't think you underestimate any of these teams, and you've always got to consider all of them to be able to making it to that state championship game.
Yeah, it's easy to say Spring and Westfield aren't your average, region semi exits. In this region, maybe they are. Duncanville and DeSoto have already played each other this year. They're going to face each other again. We'll pick that game a little bit later on. But I think games like that, where those teams really go at it against each other, they strengthen, their playoff hopes. They strengthen how deep they can go. Obviously, it helped them. Great seasons from Spring and Westfield. We loved covering them all year. It's two teams that we thought maybe we'd be covering a little bit more, but either way, just amazing stuff from both of them. Duncanville has dropped a game this year. They're one of the best teams in the nation, but they lost to, at one point, the best team in the nation, Mater Dei out of California. Has Duncanville, as crazy as this sounds, has Duncanville been underrated this year because they've already lost a game?
Texas-wise, I would say yes, but nationally, I would say no. When you face tough opponents like Mater Dei, the odds are typically not in your favor because Mater Dei is able to recruit more players and provide like a different schedule for the players due to them being a private school. And when it comes to schools like that, odds are you are not going to be able to beat them when you are a public school. So, like I said, Texas-wise, I think they'd be underrated because people thought that after that Mater Dei loss that they would struggle. But nationally, I wouldn't say that they're underrated just because they are a public school and they often play private schools.
I honestly don't think that they've ever been underrated this season, because I kind of said it about North Shore when they lost to Westfield, that one loss isn't going to define the rest of your season. And I feel like sometimes people overreact, but I don't think that was the case with their loss to Mater Dei, because that's a really tough team. You had two of the best teams in the nation just going at it. And I don't think that loss should be considered a bad thing. If not, it's more of a learning experience for Duncanville, and being able to play against top tier talent like modern day. So I don't think they've been underrated at all. And I think they've just been expected all season to continue to go far because they are able to play teams like that and keep up with them.
I don't think so either, but I do think that some people like myself, when you see Spring and Westfield going at it all year, you think maybe one of those teams will give them a challenge early in the playoffs, and maybe they will be kind of weak going into the region finals, but they beat Spring 42-7. So obviously that's not the case. And so we already covered a game that Ashton was at. We already covered a game that I was at. And Ella, we've got the one that you were at. For the second time this year, Hightower took down Manville. It was 31-21 this game. Hightower is on to their first region final in 10 years. 2011 was the last time. Ella, what did you see from this game?
It was a very close game for a long time. You know, going into halftime, they were tied and after a blocked field goal. And the Hightower energy was what won them that game, I believe, because they just constantly were just excited. They were feisty. They were just going harder than Manville was, I think. I think they also kind of wanted it more, especially after, you know, they got third in district after Manville beat Pato. So I think they were a little bit bitter about finishing in third after they had beaten Manville. And that game was such an interesting one to see because the entire first half, it was close. You had no idea who was going to win. And then you see, you know, Jeremy Payne, Caleb Douglas, Caleb Johnson for Hightower just come out and run that offense behind KJ Pinson. And they were unstoppable because of their speed, because of their energy. You know, Caleb Douglas, I think, has to be one of the luckiest receivers because he caught probably 3 or 4 tipped passes and just kept, it was a catch and run for him. He just kept going. And it's insane how he's able to just keep his eyes on the ball and keep track of it. And they definitely, not only the energy on the field, but the energy in the stands definitely contributed to Hightower's win. And it was a really close game, and it was a bit of a dirty game, but it was fun to see. And I think Hightower's got a lot of energy right now, but Pato blew them out the first time, and they lost 55-7. And in a district to Pato, and I just find it unlikely that a deficit like that can be turned around into a win against a consistent team like Pato, even though this game against Manville was a very strong performance from them. But this Hightower team is definitely one to keep your eye on. If I think that they have the potential to beat Pato because of the way they've been playing these past few games, but it's really up in the air.
Yeah, it looks like the winner of this game could, you know, it's very likely to go all the way to AT&T Stadium. Ella, do you think that the winner of this game is a threat to win it all? I mean, we still have College Station in, we still have Denton Ryan in, so there's definitely your usual contenders. But should Pato or Hightower be considered a team that can win it all?
I actually think so. I think that whoever wins this game, I see them in the state championship. However, if they win it, that just depends on who they're up against, because, you know, Denton Ryan and College Station are 2 really good teams on the other side of the bracket. And so, but I genuinely see the winner of this game making it to that state championship.
Well, we'll only have to wait about 2 weeks to see if that happens. So now we'll hand it over to our interview for this week. Joined by a very special guest this week from West Orange Stark, Demetrius Hunter. Demetrius, welcome to the show.
How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing?
Demetrius, we are very happy to have you on. You're in the midst of a great playoff run in 4A D2 right now, and you've had a crazy last few days. It starts off on Sunday when Lincoln Riley takes the job over there at USC. You were previously committed to Oklahoma. Tell me about, you know, what all went through your head as you found that out on Sunday.
It was crazy, man. You know, I didn't know how to feel. You know, about the coach that recruited me leaving. You know, it's kind of weird to me. You know, I wasn't expecting that at all. You know, it's God's plan. Can't question it, and I just thank God for a second chance.
Yeah, well, you were heavily recruited, not only by Coach Riley, but by Coach Biedenball, who's also headed over there. Have you been in contact with anyone from that staff so far? I know it's pretty early on, but have you talked to them at all?
Yeah, I talked to Coach B yesterday, matter of fact, and today. So he's gonna be in contact with me, and I still got that's my guy right there. Got a good relationship with him.
Well, you decided to get right back on track, decommitted on Monday, and already receiving some offers. Mississippi State, you have quite a few already. What's going through your mind right now? Are you planning on committing soon, or are you going to wait it out, kind of see what happens?
I'm definitely gonna wait it out. This time around, I'm gonna actually, take my visits. Last time I stayed committed. I didn't show any other any other schools any attention, and I didn't take no other visits. I got 4 left, so I'm gonna take my visits, man. And don't know which school I'm gonna visit yet, so I gotta figure it out with my family. But I'm for sure gonna, take my time this time. Get to see all different type of schools.
Well, you will have quite a few to choose from. Like I said, Mississippi State already back on. You've got A&M, who seems to have now one of the best classes in the entire nation, adding Evan Stewart from the state of Texas. But you are still playing Texas high school football. You're one of the key pieces in West Orange Stark's region final appearance this year, and they've been in the region finals 3 times since you've been in the program. What can you say about how this program has evolved in your 4 years here?
But I definitely say, man, the leadership has really, stepped up. Probably being a senior this year, I take it more personal this year. I'm not trying to go home. I'm not trying to, end my season off with a loss. So we grinding every day. We know we got a target on our back just because we West Orange Stark was winning this team in Texas. So we produce them athletes, man. We gonna come out and give it our all. So Coach T preaches that to us every day. Nobody like the Mustangs, you know what I'm saying? We gotta give it our all because we don't get everybody's best game. So, we gotta come out, man, no slacking, man, and try to make this run.
Well, you are, great mouthpiece for this team. Obviously, one of the biggest names to come out of the school in quite a few years. Do you see yourself as a born leader, right now and going forward?
Yeah, I would definitely say West Orange has helped me transition in that leader spot, especially being, the captain of the O-line center, just a captain on my team. I had to step up for these younger guys this year. We got a few young guys on the team, and we lost a lot of seniors last year. So we had got some young guys this year, man, but they playing their hearts out, man. I got to give it to them. Got to tip my hat to them. They actually, going hard in practice. We giving each other good looks for, Friday's game and here on out. So, I think I got a really good feeling about it.
Yeah, center, basically the captain of this offense. What kind of relationship do you have with the guys on the line, the quarterback, receivers, kind of everyone? Because as much as you've stayed there, those guys have changed as you've been in this program. So what kind of relationship do you have with them?
I got a great relationship with them guys. I got a few guys that was on the team with me when we made those, 4th round appearances in the past. We just the leaders of that squad. We got great chemistry and stuff. And, the younger guys that haven't been there before, we got them in the right direction. We show them, it's just like any other game. We know the stakes are higher. It's a win or go home, but we try to teach them, just play every game like it's your last. You know what I'm saying?
The last year, you guys took a loss in the playoffs a little bit sooner than you would have liked to. It was in the area round against the team you're playing this year, China Spring. That was described as, kind of a result of COVID. The team was COVID depleted. What was the situation there?
Yeah, man, it was just a bad situation. Me and like 5 other players and 3 coaches, we were out, and just a tough situation for all of us, man. I couldn't help my team, win the game. So, it was just a bad situation, man. And it just kind of hurt being at home, watching the game on TV and not actually playing in the game. So, I was, luckily to be a junior, not a senior. So, I had another year to go. So this year, man, we gotta get our revenge back, and we coming harder and we ready.
Yeah, this is your last ride. It is win or go home forever, at least at the high school level. And since you've been in this program, West Orange Stark has not been able to get over the hump in the region finals, get further. Why is this the year that you guys are going to be able to do it?
Man, I just feel like, man, our leaders, our leaders are the guys, that have been in this situation before. And, everybody's healthy this year. Everybody's in, good spirits and, passing, doing it good in their classes. And, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of circumstances that hindered us last year, not hindering us this year. Feel like we got a good game plan, and I just feel like we're ready, man. We got a lot of kids mentally prepared, to play the game, and we just got to practice hard Monday through Thursday, get ready, just put our best foot forward Friday.
Well, you've got a big fan right here. You've got a big fan all across Eastern right now. We're getting that small town love for AD2. Happy to have you on. We wish you the best of luck. I know that we're going to be hearing your name quite a bit in the next few months, so we'll talk to you soon, Demetrius.
Yes, sir.
And now we finish off the week like we have all playoffs with some picks. Start off with DeSoto and Duncanville. Ella?
This is, I think, one of the best matchups this week. I think it's going to be the closest matchup, but I predicted Duncanville to go all the way. So I'm going to have to go with them. They're very solid this year. DeSoto is also very solid. And I think this is going to be the toughest game, I think, besides Bridgeland and Tomball that we're going to see this week. So, but I think Duncanville is going to pull it out and possibly make it to the state championship.
Like Will has in past, you always love underdogs. And for once, I'm going to have to go with the underdog. I'm going to have to go with DeSoto. And I do have some evidence to back that up. I did catch the second half of their game against Westfield, and they absolutely tore them to shreds. The stands was going crazy. The band was going crazy. The sidelines were going crazy. And just that momentum that they have behind them really makes them believe that they can punch Duncanville in the mouth. And like how Tomball has shown the whole state of Texas, if you have the confidence and you can punch the team in the mouth, anything can happen.
I've got two driving factors in my prediction is that Duncanville pretty easily beat DeSoto earlier on this year, and Bishop Davenport threw 3 interceptions in the first half, I believe the first 14 minutes. This Duncanville defense is on another level. They put up 42 points, and I'm not even talking about their offense. I think Duncanville wins this game, but I think it could be around 14, 2 touchdown range, but Duncanville will take it. But Atascocita and North Shore.
Kind of like Ashton earlier, I love a good underdog, and I think everyone expects North Shore to win this game. They expect North Shore to win their next game because they're just a traditionally winning team. But this Atascocita team is really something special this year, and I think that if anyone is going to take them down, it's going to be Atascocita because that loss in district has to fuel like the desire to beat them in another matchup. And I think that that they're the ones that are going to be able to do it. And it's really going to come down to the wire.
Nonetheless, this Atascocita defense really is going to give North Shore some trouble. But I think the leading or driving factor that has Atascocita on their toes is whether or not Zion Brown's going to show up. Obviously, he's a young sophomore, and he's been thrown into the spotlight a few times, but nothing like North Shore. I believe he's ready for it, though. I think he's going to step up to the spotlight, and I think he's going to grab the reins, and he's going to do well. And if he can do that, I think they really do have a chance against North Shore.
How am I the only one picking North Shore in this game? I've seen Atascocita a lot. I've said that I think 4 or 5 times already this year. I think they're great, but it's all about that next level thing. North Shore lost to Westfield early in the year, and they said no more of that. I would be very surprised if they lose this game, and I would also be surprised if they lose in the next round. I think they're going to end up in Arlington. How about Katy and Summer Creek?
Well, I would have to eat my words a little bit about Summer Creek because, I didn't even predict them going into the playoffs, let alone round 4 of the playoffs. They've had a phenomenal season. They've really become like this breakout team, but they're facing Katy, one of the best teams in the state. And I think that their great season is enough, but Katy is Katy, and they're going to walk away and head into the regional final.
Yeah, kind of like Ella said, I had Summer Creek get in that third, fourth spot, maybe even fifth, depending on how that district went. But, and I do, like I said, I do love underdogs. As much as I love them, Katy will take this game. Caleb Koger and company, as well as that Katy defense is going to excel. Both sides of the ball are going to click, and Katy is going to walk away with this one.
Yeah, these are two teams that we haven't talked about that much, not by design. One of them being Katy, just because they dominate everyone every single week. So there's not been a lot of storylines other than Katy continues their dominance. As for Summer Creek, thank you, Ella, because the first or second week of this season, more than one of us predicted that they would not make the playoffs. And we've gone on here for several weeks and picked them to lose. Unfortunately, I am picking them to lose again. But what a great season from Summer Creek. We'd like to give our sincerest apologies to them and best of wishes in the 2022 season. How about VYPEU and Hightower?
You know, I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. In the first time these two teams met in district, VYPEU won 55-7, and that's a very large deficit that Hightower put themselves in. While this Hightower team is something special, they've got a lot of energy, they've got a lot of grit. I do not see them winning this game against VYPEU, and I think they've also had a phenomenal season. But VYPEU is just something else, and they're a force to be reckoned with, and I think they walk away with this game.
These are some of the two teams that I really have not been able to see much this year. Obviously, I'm more of a basketball guy myself and more of a local football guy, but I really just have not been able to see these two teams. And I think VYPEU is, like, looking at stats and looking at previous games, I think VYPEU is a force to be reckoned with. And as much as I love that last Hightower game, I just do not see them beating VYPEU.
Yeah, VYPEU is reminding me a whole lot of your school, Ella, Shadow Creek. They come in one of the first years of having a varsity program. I think they're on their way to at least a runner-up over there in 5A. I think they win this game in dominating fashion, just like they did earlier on. And now we're going to end the episode with the Ashton J. Lux Bowl, Bridgeland and Tomball. I'll let you go first. Ashton, I'll actually let you go last and finish this one off.
I honestly don't know. I think along with DeSoto and Duncanville, this is the matchup to kind of watch this week where it really could go either way. But I think, like Ashton keeps saying, this Tomball team is really something special this year. And Bridgeland is also a phenomenal team, but I think Tomball's just kind of got the momentum going and the energy, and they just, Cale Helms is doing a phenomenal job at quarterback. And I think Bridgeland's defense is going to have a tough time with them, and I think Tomball's going to take it, but I genuinely think it's going to be a really close game.
I get hate from either side, depending on which I pick, because every time I doubt Bridgeland, they go out there and make me eat my words. And then I get a text from Tommy Yarish that says, look, I told you so. And then Ashton will do the same if Bridgeland wins this game. There was a picture of Cale Helms with his little pass a few days ago, and one of the comments below said, I love him. And I think this whole Texas high school football media loves him now. I love him. I think Tomball's going to win this game.
I want to thank both of y'all. I really appreciate it, but I'm going to have to take over here a little bit. One thing that as much as we love Cale, and Cale is arguably one of the best in the state, and I think he needs to be put on the national radar, I'm going to have to tip my hat off to this offensive line. People don't give the offensive line enough credit. Obviously, Cale treats them really well, and he always, whenever he can, he speaks about them. But if you look at it one by one, except one junior on that offensive line, every single person is going D1. When you look at that compared to some of the other offensive lines, and even in the state and even in the nation, they really are better than all the offensive lines. And obviously with that defense, they held Josh Hoover, Indiana commit, to only 21 points. People just do not do that. South Lake Carroll couldn't even do that. They let Josh Hoover have 35. I'm going to stand by this. And as much as I'm going to get hate from my friends over at Bridgeland, I do have childhood friends. And Haley, I swear, this is my formal call out to you. I'm going to have to take Tomball in this one.
Well, in one of the only games where we are unanimous, Tomball defeats Bridgeland. We'll be back next week to see if that happened. For Ashton Lux, for Ella Heston, I'm Will Turboff. Thanks for a great episode, and we'll see you very soon.